What's going on, YouTube? Hyundai has been making some big moves when it comes to their SUV lineup over the past few years. And this year, we see one of the biggest moves yet, the all-new Hyundai Santa Fe. It's grown to accommodate a newly standard third row, gained boxy styling, and tons of luxury features, even a few that aren't offered on the award-winning Palisade, today's competitor. So within the Hyundai lineup, the big question is, which of these two luxurious Hyundai 3-rows is right for you? Well, let's go ahead and find out. Like always, let's dive into the pricing of these two SUVs to start. To make things as comparable as possible, we've chosen the highest trim of both SUVs, which is called Calligraphy. That means they are packed with all the features. And after checking off all the boxes, the Palisade comes in at $53,955. Now you might be surprised at how close these two are when it comes to pricing, as the fully loaded Santa Fe Calligraphy has risen in price this year to $48,300. Adding in destination and a handful of options, the final price comes in just a touch under $51,000. By the way, if you want to get the best price from local dealerships and access to invoice pricing info for these two models or any vehicle, we have a tool on our website to do just that. This is a great tool for shopping, so make sure to check the link in the description for more information. Now, as far as this comparison, it will be conducted objectively. We have done our best to weigh the points awarded throughout in major and minor categories, but at the end of the comparison, we will sum up with our thoughts and revisit the price difference for a value assessment. Let's get into it. So starting out with the exterior, some brands make all their vehicles look the same, but that certainly cannot be said about these two siblings. The all-new Santa Fe takes bold to a new level, with a completely squared-off design reminiscent of a Land Rover. For those looking for a classier approach, the Palisade also has an upright face, but it goes with a fully chrome grille. Now we won't be awarding points based on personal preference on design. But moving over to the lighting, we also have very different designs. The Santa Fe has a full-length light bar, and both SUVs have LED projector beams and LED turn signals. Neither have fog lights on these latest examples. Moving on to the sides, the boxy Santa Fe has grown by about 2 inches this year, which makes it within spitting distance of the Palisade. We'll see how that translates to interior space later in this comparison, especially in regard to the third rows and cargo capacity. But as far as wheels, it's the Santa Fe that has the larger ones, coming in at 21 inches compared to the Palisade's 20s. Santa Fe also includes a cool hand grab to make getting to the roof rails substantially easier. And let's talk about colors, since you are bound to have noticed at this point. The Santa Fe does offer a bolder set of color options, but the important thing is that only Santa Fe can get matte paint for those of you wanting that additional style straight from the factory. Around back, these two once again couldn't possibly look more different, but as far as features are concerned, they are similar. Both have single exposed exhaust outlets on the right side, rear wipers, LED brake lights, and turn signals. For towing, the Palisade can handle 1,500 pounds more than this Calligraphy Santa Fe, at 5,000 pounds versus 3,500 pounds. Now it's time for some individual features, and the first place we're stopping is the mirrors. Here we find a very interesting difference. Both models have heating and blind spot monitoring, but only the Palisade has auto dimming, and only the Santa Fe has power folding. These are family SUVs after all, so both Hyundais give you their entire suites of active safety systems as standard equipment, plus highway driving assist. They both also have the smart parking system, which can pull into and out of tight parking spots unmanned. Only the Santa Fe, though, has Hyundai's newest driver health monitoring system, which can even stop the vehicle in the event that you are unresponsive while driving. Both these SUVs have the same class-leading 10-year warranty and 3 years of complimentary maintenance. Well, that wraps up the outsides, but these are calligraphies after all, so let's see the most important part, the luxurious interiors. But first,
if you're new here, we're brothers, and we've been reviewing cars since we were 12
and 16. We may be young, but we love cars.
And we'd love for you to subscribe to be a part of our Car Confections family. Let's learn a lot, have some fun with all the latest cars.
So walking up to the vehicles, even the key fobs have different designs to control their smart entry systems, built-in remote start, as well as Hyundai's latest Digital Key 2.0 system if you prefer to use your phone instead. And wow, once you open up the doors, you'll begin to see why these top trim levels demand an over $50,000 price tag. While the designs once again are very different, both are finished with top-notch materials, loaded with technology, and if you cover out the badges, you probably wouldn't even realize they're mainstream SUVs. But one of the nicest pieces inside the cabin are the seats. These top-end calligraphy versions replace the regular leather with Nappa leather. That's an extremely supple and premium leather, and then moving past that, both the seats are also heated, ventilated, and have memory functions. As far as adjustability, they are 12-way power, and each boast unique features. Only the Palisade includes the bougie feature of massaging. But the new Santa Fe fights back with a full relaxation seat, which even includes a recliner. One of the reasons we selected the top calligraphy trims was to show off just how nice the cabins can get. So let's talk about material quality. The door trims and dashboard are covered in leatherette and soft touch plastics. You also have faux wood trim and even fancy suede headliners. Overall, both cabins are equally impressive materials-wise, so no points will be awarded. After startup, you'll see two fully digital 12.3-inch gauge clusters with slightly different graphics, one freestanding and the other enclosed. They also have Hyundai's cool blind spot camera system and large head-up displays for these two top examples. You may also notice that the Santa Fe has a fingerprint reader to allow for the syncing of driver profiles and even starting the vehicle when using the digital key system. Pushing back, cold hands are a thing of the past, with heated, two-tone leather-wrapped steering wheels and rain-sensing wipers. Now, one of the most important aspects of a family SUV is the storage, and you'll be impressed. Both models emphasize this area, and for our Car Confections donut test, they fit over a dozen donuts. Surprisingly, the smaller Santa Fe actually fits over 24 donuts, which is more than the Palisade, and it offers 2 passenger storage areas. That's in addition to both models having large sensor pass-throughs. Overall, Santa Fe wins here. And it's also worth noting that the Santa Fe boasts dual wireless phone charging pads compared to a single pad in the Palisade. Finally, it's only the Santa Fe that has UV sterilization to get rid of germs on your objects in the top storage cubby. All the interior space is made possible because of their electronics. While they are in different spots, once you go into reverse, you'll find 360-degree cameras with the 3D spin ability for these top trims. Moving on to more differences, the Palisade has a 3-zone automatic climate setup compared to the dual setup in the Santa Fe. And now that takes us to the nearby volume knobs. This area is also different, with the Santa Fe getting a 12-speaker Bose audio system and the Palisade getting a 12-speaker Harman Kardon sound system. Let's sample both. Overall, while they have the same number of speakers, the Palisade system has the richer and more balanced sound quality. And now that takes us to the infotainment systems and displays, which, unsurprisingly at this point, are also again different. They are both 12.3 inches in size, but the Santa Fe is one of the first Hyundais to use their new CCNC software. That means it has overall better performance and graphics. And finally, we have wireless Android Auto and Apple CarPlay abilities. The Palisade will still require a physical cord for that connection, but both of them have integrated navigation. Wrapping up the inside, we have auto-dimming rearview mirrors with HomeLink universal remotes and smart camera abilities. The sunroofs are the same dual panel setup as well. Alright, now it's time to dig into one of the most interesting parts of this comparison. Remember, the Palisade is about 6 inches longer than the Santa Fe, so let's see how that translates to space. Starting with the second row measurements, both are nearly identical, and well within the 5% margin that is required to score a point. But it's not all about space. Your family is going to want some features in the rear, and indeed, the two deliver and have advantages over one another. Starting with the similarities, both have window sunshades, 2 charging USB ports, and heated rear seats. Now onto the differences. The Palisade Calligraphy is one of the only mainstream vehicles to have ventilated second row seats, and it also includes a household outlet unlike the Santa Fe. Santa Fe fights back though, as it only includes a fully power second row. That's a feature rarely seen outside of 6-figure luxury vehicles, and is something that the Palisade does not offer. But one of the biggest news headlines about the Santa Fe this year is that it has now added a third row on all trims. But is it as good as the Palisade? Well, first off, getting back there is easy in both, with one-touch folding and sliding mechanisms. For space, they have nearly identical headroom, and the Palisade has just under 5% more legroom, so it won't get a point. Despite what you might expect, these two have similar third row experiences, even down to decent thigh support. The biggest thing to consider is actually that the Palisade has seating for 3 instead of 2 in the Santa Fe, which obviously increases your total occupancy from 6 to 7 passengers. Additionally, only the Palisade gets a class-exclusive heated third row, but both have vents and USB ports. Now it's time to head into the cargo areas and see how much stuff you can bring along with all the people. Even though the Santa Fe has grown larger in space, it's still not enough to overcome the Palisade, which has 20% more space behind the third row, 12.5% more space behind the second row, and 8% more space with all the seats folded. Additionally, it's only the Palisade with a power folding third row, something not offered on the Santa Fe. Alrighty, so that's it for the interiors, but now it's time to take this fight to the streets. As we head into the powertrains, you shouldn't be surprised that these two once again are quite different. The Santa Fe gains a newly standard 2.5 turbo 4-cylinder with 277 horsepower for 2024. Meanwhile, the Palisade continues on with its traditional 3.8-liter V6 with 291 horsepower. That means that the Palisade has the horsepower advantage, and the Santa Fe has the torque advantage.
Alright, there's 60 miles an hour. I guess it needed to wipe the wind off once we got up to 60. In the refresh 2023 Hyundai Palisade. So as we mentioned at the spec dump, what's under the hood is a 3.8-liter V6. It's naturally aspirated. It's going to be making 291 horsepower, 262 pound-feet of torque. Those are healthy numbers for this segment of vehicle, and certainly I'd say the acceleration is about average for the segment. It's not going to knock your socks off or anything, but it's perfectly adequate for a vehicle of this size.
And there's an acceleration up to about 60 miles per hour in the Calligraphy. Now, this is the 2.5 turbo model. So, I'll just be clear about the powertrains, of course, right from the beginning, and to give you guys a reminder, because we talked about this in the first part, there's 2 different powertrains that the Santa Fe is available in. The Calligraphy also is available in both of the powertrains. So you have the traditional 2.5 turbo 4-cylinder with 277 horsepower. That's what's standard.
As you can see with that acceleration there, this is quite the quick standard powertrain, even on the very base model of the Santa Fe.
Yeah, you can really feel that torque push you back in the seat. As you can tell by those accelerations, both get up to 60 miles per hour reasonably quick. However, based on our personal experience and YouTube commenters, we do want to give the nod to the Palisade's V6 for overall engine refinement over the Santa Fe's Turbo 4. For transmissions, we're looking at 8-speed automatics in both, although the Santa Fe's is a dual-clutch automatic transmission. While the dual-clutch does pose a slight shift speed advantage, the smoother refinement of the Palisade's transmission is a better match for a family SUV.
So there's a little bit of a running acceleration, and that highlights the beauty of another aspect of this powertrain, which is going to be the 8-speed automatic. So all the versions of the Palisade are going to have this transmission, and like Drew was talking about, this overall powertrain experience is refined and luxurious feeling, and that 8-speed automatic is exactly what I would classify as refined and luxurious.
Now let's talk a little bit about the other aspect of the powertrain, and that's the transmission. So with the 2.5 turbocharged 4-cylinder engine, its mate is going to be an 8-speed dual-clutch automatic transmission. This is the same transmission that Hyundai was using in the previous generation as well, and in some other applications across their lineup. In terms of the performance of this transmission, it is a dual-clutch, so you will get that kind of characteristic, meaning that you have very fast shifts when you're up to speed. A huge focus in any 3-row is ride quality. Both of these Hyundais will impress with exceptional ride quality, especially over long road trips. We say that from experience since we actually did take both of them on long road trips. You know, of course, powertrain is important, but it is somewhat secondary, really, in a vehicle like this to just have that overall comfort and ride quality experience. And that really is a highlight of this Palisade. We have gone on a road trip. We've been on the interstate. We drove around the city over the past week. We spent a lot of time with this Palisade, and that's because it's just so dang comfortable. You just want to be in it all the time because it really coddles you.
Coming into this Calligraphy, you have larger 21-inch alloy wheels, so we want to know, how does that translate to your ride quality? Drew, I think we've been riding around in this vehicle all day long,
yes.
And what we have kind of talked about off camera and determined after hitting some bumps and stuff is that this Calligraphy does ride still very good, even despite having the 21-inch alloy wheels. We will say it is ever so slightly more rough riding than the SEL that we own and, other versions like the XRT with the smaller wheel setup.
But another element of a nice road trip vehicle is to have a serene environment free of loud noises. So let's talk about that. Here at Car Confections, we always test the decibel sound level reading of all the vehicles that we test. And both of these two scored luxury-like ratings. However, we cannot officially score them as the Santa Fe's test had to be conducted out of state in Tennessee on a media drive. And now we're up to 55 miles per hour, so this would be a great time to take our signature sound level reading. Fantastic. Our reading here in Kentucky, we are back in Kentucky, 55.6 decibels. So that's
Gave it a nice long sample there. 53.8 decibels is our Car Confections sound level reading here in Tennessee. It's not our official sound level reading because we are on a media drive and it's not in our home state of Kentucky.
And finally, for fuel economy, the Santa Fe's smaller 4-cylinder engine and DCT do pay off here. Despite its similar size, it achieves 2 mpg better combined. It's also worth pointing out that only the Santa Fe has a hybrid variant available at this time, which can get up to an impressive 36 miles per gallon combined. Before we wrap up here, we will circle back to value as promised. The Santa Fe does ring in $3,050 cheaper, which, based on our value scale, will get it 1.5 points. But we will remind you that if money doesn't matter as much to you, feel free to disregard these points. In our reviews and comparisons, we're also adding in reliability and resale value information. Obviously, these two are from the same brand, so there won't be any appreciable differences between them. Hyundai as a whole is rated slightly below average in reliability compared to all other vehicle makes. And we also estimate that these models will retain 55.3% of their original MSRP after 5 years and 19.6% after 10 years. If you'd like to check out all our data about reliability and resale values, as well as learn about our methodology, make sure to head over to carconfections.com/resale and /reliability. Buying a car is a big decision, and this is a great place to compare all the makes that you might be cross-shopping. Well, that's it for another SUV Smackdown comparison. These two are siblings, but honestly, it didn't even feel like they were throughout this comparison. They are completely different products, and at least until Hyundai redesigns the Palisade, there's a lot of overlap between them. So let's talk about who should be your winner. So the Palisade should be your winner if you prefer that classy design. You want something that's a little bit more conventional and a lot less controversial than the Santa Fe. Also, if you like the special features that includes set in the third row, such as heating and power folding, and also if you want the maximum cargo capacity, it is the larger product.
Now, the Santa Fe on the flip side should be your choice if you prefer the bolder design. Obviously, it has a lot more controversial of a look. It even has things like available matte paint colors. It also has surprisingly more interior storage than the Palisade and more innovative storage solutions. So that's something to keep in mind, including that UV sanitizing tray. Also, the technology is going to be more up to date than the Palisade. Until we get that, all new model coming out, you're going to have the worst technology in the Palisade. And, I also will add that the third row is surprisingly similar when it comes to overall space than the Palisade, and it is a little bit less expensive. But we want to know what you guys think down below. Are you choosing the Hyundai Palisade or the all-new and controversial Hyundai Santa Fe? Let us know your thoughts down below. And if you're looking to buy either one of these products or any new vehicle, we would also encourage you to go to carconfections.com/newcarquotes. Now, why you do that is because we have a tool on our website that will connect you with local car dealers in your area to get you the best price on your new vehicle. It's also going to give you access to invoice pricing information, which is a great tool for dealership negotiation. If you'd like to take advantage of that, link is provided in our video description, as well as we have a pinned comment at the top of this video. And guys, that's going to be where we leave off on this comparison. If you enjoyed, please hit that subscribe button down below to let us know that you want to see more of this. If you're already a part of our family, thank you so much for your continued support. And we'll catch you next time as we sample more of the latest automotive delicacies.